Hi, I'm Greg Brown.
I'm David Ivy, and this is Dynamic Discussions.
This is another installment in a weekly video series we're bringing you about safety products and how to use them. This week we have a special guest. Brian McClure of Trivent Safety is here, and he's going to answer a couple of questions for us. So, Brian, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and your company.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yes, my name is Brian McClure. I'm one of the owners of Trivent Safety Consulting. We have three owners. The other two are Dax Biederman and Scott Seppers. And we're based in Denver, Colorado, but we work all over the world. In fact, we just had one of our guys, Scott, get back from the Arctic Circle certifying crane operators up there in like negative 30 degrees temperature. So, um, we do everything safety related. So we specialize in OSHA compliance, and then we're really big in the steel erection and heavy lift and rigging industry as well, as far as consulting.
Great, great. So we'll get right into the question. We have three for you today. The first one, what does OSHA say about training frequency? How often should you have training and what documentation is required?
Yeah, so training frequency is really based on the activity, how hazard it is, and whatnot. We encourage our clients to train every single week. And that training, it's important, that it's not, people need to know it doesn't have to be formalized training. You don't have to send your folks to a classroom training. You can do continual training on site just with toolbox talks. And even in your pre-task, daily meetings you're doing with your crew, there's training that happens there. So training needs to happen continually. OSHA does require that certain things that you train on, you document and you keep it for your records, and that you also update their training when their certifications expire. So definitely any equipment, so forklifts, mobile elevated work platforms or aerial lifts, you got to be certified to operate those. The forklifts, that certification only lasts for 3 years and it's got to be renewed. And then definitely cranes, crane operators got to be certified and evaluated now according to the new subpart CC. And their certifications last 5 years. Their evaluations last for the life of that particular crane, as long as the environment and the types of lifts they're doing don't change. But you need to, for guys like myself, training needs to happen all the time, as much as possible. And then, it could be, like I said, something as simple as toolbox talks. Big thing is make sure that you get the sign-in sheets for it and keep those on record, so that if you ever have any problems down the road, it makes my life a lot easier to show all the training and how proactive a company's been doing with their training and their safety training for their employees along the way.
So I know your team does some of the OSHA consultations. So if you're on the job site, working with a company, how does a company fare when they have a written down training program with the proper documentation versus those who do not? So can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So um, when OSHA comes on site, either from a scheduled audit or an employee complaint or an injury or fatality, the number one thing they're going to ask is who's your competent person on site for whatever activity they're there to investigate. And for guys like me, when I'm representing my clients with OSHA, it makes my job so much easier. If we've done training all along the way, they've got a good learning management system on the back end that's keeping all of their training records and whatnot. We can bring that up very easily because that's what OSHA ultimately wants. They want to see that you've identified hazards in the workplace, that you're doing inspections in the workplace frequently and looking for those hazards, and that you're training your people on any kind of hazards they're going to encounter while they're at work during the day. And so if you're doing that training consistently, week in, week out, and you're documenting that, you're keeping those sign-in sheets on file. When I come and I represent those clients, it makes my job so much easier, and it goes a long ways with OSHA as far as if we get to an informal hearing and we're negotiating reducing fines or reclassifying citations. It goes a long ways if we can show a long history of training, and not just training that we did in the weeks leading up to or the weeks after OSHA's visit.
Great. So that kind of leads into the last question we have here. Safety managers, we know that there are a lot of hats, have a lot of things to keep track of. What's the biggest mistake that you see safety managers making?
Boy, there's a number of mistakes I see them make. Typically when they're new to the field, they feel like they have to go out there and be what we call a safety cop. And so they're out there and they're really beating all the guys up about, you know, breaking the rules or not wearing their PPE or whatnot. When there really should be coaching, right? So we try and always preach that we're out there to coach and correct and make an actual safe work environment for the employees, and not just out there to beat them down with a bunch of safety policies that maybe they're not 100% trained on. So I mean, anyone can go out there, and we call it the document and dash kind of safety guy, where they go out there, they'll take pictures, they'll write stuff down. They don't actually have an interaction with the employee to help them coach and correct on what they're doing and educate them, and in turn, and all they do is document it. They send it to the supervisor, they take off, and sometimes that could be something simple like you have some danger tape down or some barricade tape down. We always preach that we need to be the person, if we actually care about safety, be the person that goes and ties that danger tape up or puts that barricade back up, because we actually care about people being safe, as opposed to just getting out there and filing reports and then getting out there. One of the other things I would say is, a lot of times we'll have safety guys that they say, do as I say, not as I do. And that's 100% against our philosophy is you need to model the same behaviors that you're out there, coaching and preaching to the crews yourself, and always be on point with your own safety.
Yeah, you make a good point. Safety, starts at the top and works its way through. Brian, we really appreciate you taking the time joining here with us today. Can you let everybody know kind of where they can reach you and learn more about your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a good presence on LinkedIn. If you look up Trivent Safety Consulting on LinkedIn, you'll see a number of us on there, and we'd love to connect with you. And you can also go to our website. It's triventsc.com.
Thank you.